Year 1959. In the snow-covered mountains of Russia, the bodies of 9 young trekkers are found. Some are half-naked, some have broken ribs, one is missing their eyes, and another, even their tongue. Traces of radiation are found on some of their clothes. Was this just an accident, or a mystery that remains unsolved to this day? Today, we'll uncover the full truth behind the Dyatlov Pass tragedy. On 27 January 1959, 10 students and graduates from the Ural Polytechnic Institute set out on a trekking expedition. Their destination was Gora Ototen, a remote mountain in northern Russia. The group was led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov. All of them were highly experienced in skiing and trekking. But one member, Yuri Yudin, had to turn back early due to health issues. The remaining 9, their story is what we'll explore today. The trail was extremely challenging, but these young adventurers kept moving forward through the icy terrain. As they went on, the weather worsened, and the group ended up veering off course. Instead of reaching their destination, they found themselves on a mountain called coldest. According to the local Mansi tribe, this place was known as the Mountain of Death. But instead of descending, the group set up their tent right there on the slope, probably to avoid having to climb again later. By 12th February, when the trekkers hadn't returned, a search operation was launched. On 26th February, one of the search teams discovered their tent. But strangely, it had been slashed open from the inside. It looked like the group had tried to escape in panic. Inside the tent, shoes were lined up neatly, and food was left untouched, suggesting they left in a hurry without taking anything with them. Their bodies were found a few hundred meters downhill from the tent. Shockingly, some of them were barefoot and without proper clothing in freezing temperatures. 6 of the 9 died from hypothermia, death due to extreme cold, but the other 4 were found in horrifying condition. One had crushed ribs, another had a fractured skull. A young woman was found without eyes, and her tongue was missing. Investigations also revealed that some of their clothing had traces of radiation. And so, the question arises, what really happened out there? Was it just an accident, or something far more mysterious? In 1959, the Soviet government launched an investigation into the case. But by May, the case was abruptly closed, with the official explanation being that an unknown natural force, which they could not overcome, was responsible for the incident. There were no signs of animal attacks, no evidence of gunshots, and no indication of an assault by the local Mansi tribe. So what exactly was this natural force? This incomplete report only raised more questions. And soon, people began coming up with their own theories. Now let's talk about the theories, the ones that make the Dyatlov Pass incident even more mysterious. Over the years, not just scientists but curious minds from around the world have tried to explain what really happened. Some believed it was the work of the Mansi tribe, maybe an act of revenge or some tribal ritual. But during the investigation, there were no footprints, no signs of violence or conflict. In fact, the Mansi people consider the area sacred, and this theory was officially ruled out. Another theory revolved around espionage and secret military experiments. 2 members of the group had previously worked at a classified nuclear facility. Add to that the fact that traces of radiation were found on some of their clothing, and suspicions deepened when witnesses reported seeing fireballs in the sky that night. Was it a secret military test gone wrong? Then came the most thrilling theory, UFOs and aliens. Some people claimed that the attack wasn't from humans, but from an otherworldly force. The group's camera had captured a few bizarre images, which some interpreted as alien figures or even spaceships. But the real question remained, was this all just imagination, or was there something real behind it? One scientific theory pointed to infrasound panic. According to one researcher, strong winds blowing across the Kholat-Syakhl mountain could create a special type of sound wave called infrasound. Humans can't hear it, but it can disturb the mind, possibly triggering panic and fear within the group that night. Another theory was about katabatic winds, extremely cold, powerful winds that rush down mountain slopes. These winds are so strong, they can flatten tents and force people to flee for their lives. A similar incident happened in Anneries, Sweden, where several skiers died in such conditions. These theories show one thing clearly: when there are no clear answers, the human mind creates countless questions. And the Dyatlov Pass incident has given people plenty of room to let their imagination run wild. Now we come to the part where science made its strongest attempt to solve the Dyatlov Pass mystery. In 2021, a joint team of scientists from Switzerland and Russia conducted a fresh study on the case. Their conclusion? The incident was likely caused by a delayed slab avalanche, a type of snow slab that breaks off with a delay, but with deadly consequences. Here's what might have happened. While setting up their tent on the mountain slope, the trekkers had to cut into the snow to create a flat surface. This weakened the snow layer underneath. Later, strong winds and accumulating snow put pressure on that weakened layer. A few hours later, a slab of snow suddenly broke loose. This avalanche wasn't massive, but it was powerful enough to crush the tent and terrify the group, forcing them to flee into the deadly cold. According to this study, the intense internal injuries found on some of the bodies, like fractured ribs and skulls, could have been caused by the weight of the snow pressing down on them, possibly combined with their own skiing equipment stored under the tent. The injuries were mostly internal, with little damage visible on the outside, which matched the avalanche model perfectly. And this wasn't just theoretical. Between 2019 and 2022, several scientific teams revisited the site. They studied the snow conditions, measured the slope angles, and recorded the wind patterns. All the data aligned closely with the delayed slab avalanche model. What had initially been a hypothesis created in computer simulations was now confirmed by field research. For the first time, this study provided a solid scientific explanation for the tragedy, one that stood strong against all other theories and speculations. In 2019, the Russian prosecutor general ordered a new investigation, this time focusing only on natural causes. In 2020, the official report was released. The cause of death was once again described as a compelling natural force, but this time it was clearly identified as an avalanche. The vague explanation from the past now had a much clearer meaning. Now, if we talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the slab avalanche theory, there are quite a few points that support it. First of all, the mystery of why the tent was cut from the inside. This theory offers a logical explanation. If a slab of snow suddenly collapses onto your tent, panicking and escaping by cutting your way out becomes a natural reaction. Second, the severe internal injuries found on some of the bodies, like broken ribs or deep skull fractures, could have been caused by the heavy weight of compacted snow, especially if hard equipment like skis or gear was stored underneath them. Moreover, modern simulations and recent expeditions confirm that snow and wind conditions on that night were capable of triggering this kind of delayed slab avalanche. That's why both the original Soviet investigation and the renewed 2020 Russian report now point to the same conclusion: this was a natural accident. But this theory still has its gaps, questions that haven't been fully answered. The biggest one: how did some of the bodies end up missing eyes and even a tongue? And why were traces of radiation found on certain clothing items? Also, none of the rescue teams reported finding any direct signs of avalanche debris at the site, which is a serious concern. Some scientists believe the missing body parts could have been eaten by scavenger animals, creatures that target exposed soft tissues, especially in extreme environments. As for the radiation, one theory is that some group members had previously worked in places where radioactive exposure was possible, meaning the contamination might have occurred long before the trek. When you look at everything together, the slab avalanche theory still stands as the strongest and most scientifically backed explanation, even if a few mysterious details remain unsolved. The mystery of Dyatlov Pass now seems to be largely solved, at least for scientists and official investigators. Most reports and research now conclude that the 9 mountaineers died due to hypothermia, extreme cold. The main cause is believed to be a slab avalanche, a sudden shift of a compacted layer of snow that crushed everything beneath it. The panic-driven escape from the tent and the severe internal injuries found on some of the bodies all help piece together what might have happened that night. Yet, despite all of this, the human mind never stops imagining. Even today, this tragedy remains a haunting and mysterious story. Some stories, no matter how well explained, still feel incomplete. And the Dyatlov Pass is one of them. So friends, what do you think? Was it really just a natural disaster? Or is there still something that's being kept from us? If you found this video informative, don't forget to like and share it. And for more such untold and unsolved stories, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We'll see you next time with another mystery. Until then, stay curious. And remember, sometimes the real fear is the one you can't even see.